Welcome back to Gaijin Hideout. I'm Jeff. With me, as always, is Jesse, and this is more Dragon's Dogma 2. So, Jesse, today we are reacting to Dragon's Dogma 2, creating a high fantasy open world, a dev interview.
Oh, look at this. Interesting. Very interesting. Yes. I don't know if I've really heard them talk about the world yet.
Yeah.
At least not in this much detail, I guess.
Yeah, so this is with director Hideaki Itsuno and a few other people from the developer studio, and I think we're just going to learn a lot about the open world. So let's get into it.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Loved the last interview. Look how nice this looks. The lighting, man.
Every fucking thing looks like a screenshot,
the
man.
Lighting.
I've said it before, I'll say it again.
Oh my goodness. How Dragon's Dogma 2's world came into existence. Dragon's Dogma is a story of many parallel worlds. In each parallel world, pawns interact with Arisen and other pawns. Okay, we know this from the first one.
Yeah, that's kind of how they travel on over, I guess.
The new game continues that setting. It's also just one of the parallel worlds within Dragon's Dogma.
Okay. Interesting.
That's why the story of constant rebirth that's focused around dragons or the elements of the world seen in the previous game have carried over to this one.
Oh, he looks sick.
He does look so good. He just ate that heart. That said, it's a different parallel world, so some parts will be similar.
See, that was one of the things I was wondering about, Jeff. Is this a continuation? Is this its own kind of like separate thing? Well, here we go.
Yeah, so I guess the first part he was saying there's parallel worlds, like there's the human or the Dragon's Dogma world and the pawn world, because we know that from the first one.
Yeah,
and then on top of that,
the pawns are also coming from their own version of all this crap, you know.
Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, now this game is in its own parallel world. It's
okay,
like maybe sense. A parallel world within a parallel world or something. Been careful to create a
so nice, even just like a little humble kind of hamlet like this, you know. It's kind of subdued. The colors are muted and all. The palette looks like it's pretty limited, but it still looks very beautiful and believable and like lived in.
It's believable. That's a great way of putting it. Yeah, it looks like it feels strange and unfamiliar.
Like people live here, you know.
But it looks like I get it, you know. At the same time, it feels like I get it. I don't know how to describe it, but that looks great. That all looks great.
I love those particle effects. Okay, it looks like a tavern or something.
Yeah. Okay, so he's saying we've been careful to create a high fantasy world that looks and feels like you would imagine a real life fantasy world to feel.
Okay, well there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I buy it. It is very lifelike in that sense. Like, it's like, oh, this could just be, you know, I could just take a wrong turn and now I'm in a fantasy world in a forest. You know, I took a wrong turn in a forest somewhere.
Wait a minute, what is this?
Yeah. That's why we focus so much on creating a European and Northern English feel down to the vegetation and structures.
Yeah, it looks like that kind of traditional, you know, medieval fantasy schlock in a way that we're all so familiar with, but with its own kind of like Dragon's Dogma twist. It has its own like unique little flavor to it in a way.
Yeah, because I don't think like, oh, they just lifted this out of the history books. I think like it's similar yet different.
Well, all the landscapes, a lot of them I've seen so far, they just look like extremely sweeping, you know, like everything is a gorgeous vista.
Yeah. Okay, we got Daigo Ikeno, art director, and Keitaro Kato, concept designer and lead designer. Okay. Art director for the first Dragon's Dogma 10 years ago. We noticed a lot of recurring.
I'm glad you did. Closely examine each part of the game. Interesting.
今作はハイファンタジーを、コンセプトに掲げてまして、
Yeah, I mean it is very high fantasy. It's when you look at some of those monsters and spells that you get to pop off.
I feel like I'm high when I'm watching that.
まだ最初に提示された資料などは、いわゆる映画だったりとかそういったもの作品の資料と
He didn't start by giving us references like films, but rather things like paintings. Who is this?
Paintings. Oh, that's
Daigo,
interesting.
the art director, the guy who just spoke. But rather things like paintings that depicted ancient scenery.
いわゆる映画だったりとか
Very
そういったもの
interesting.
That would explain why we like find things recognizable like this. Like it's like I recognize this, but it's not like, oh, it's like from that movie, you know, or whatever. You know? That's interesting. That's
Yeah,
a clever
I
way of
guess
doing it. It also means I'm not
it also
cultured because I don't
kinda-
look at a lot of paintings, but you know.
Well, yeah, well, that too. I mean, I feel like it also kind of ties into, again, how sweeping everything looks, you know? That's so interesting that he did that.
Yeah.
昔の風景が描かれた絵画だったりと
Ancient
か
scenery, yeah.
特にそのシンプルなものがすごい多かったのが特徴的だった
A lot of
A lot
simple
of simple
things.
things.
戦時で言われてる王道ファンタジーとかっていうこと
I'd be so curious if they ever if we ever got to see all the, maybe it's available somewhere, but if we ever got to see like all the reference paintings that they're talking about.
That would be interesting. That would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
We could do a Dragon's Dogma art gallery, art inspiration gallery.
多くの人が愛してくれていた
Classic fantasy
そういう
game. All right.
ものをまあ古典絵画とか中世
Yeah. Well, it's nice to go back.
そこを見て背景とかっていうのはまあ最初構築しようとしてい
We
た
haven't had one that's just like, you know, it is what it is, you know, but, you know, everything's like, but with a twist, or it's dark, you know, or it's like evil.
Put belts and buckles everywhere.
Yeah, belts and buckles everywhere. Or it's corrupted, it's undead, it's corruption. And we're getting like our baseline. We're returning to the baseline. Let's do the
I
baseline.
know, it
good.
feels, again, Jeff, it feels cozy.
そこから
Very cozy.
っていう部分が大きいですかね。実際の距離はそんな
Oh my God,
遠く
look at that. Holy shit. That looks
God.
fucking beautiful.
Look at the view, man.
Look at all that.
Fitting
Oh
a
my
lot
God,
in
I'm gonna
here.
fucking move in, Jeff. That looks gorgeous. Can I buy one of those
ないんや
houses?
けど
No.
行きたい
Is this what my ancestors left this for Florida, man? Come on.
They fucked up, Jeff. You got screwed.
It's this beautiful
I know we have some
vista.
nice beaches, but ugh.
And then they went to Chex Notes, Minnesota and Alabama, and then Florida. What are we
one bad
doing?
decision after
What are we
another.
doing, guys? Take me back to northern England and northeastern, whatever they said. Dude, I'm from there, wherever it was. Man,
場所も
that's
見えてるんやけ
great.
ど行くまでの道のりがワクワク
Okay, so
oh God, look how fucking dense this looks, man. There's like cool shit everywhere. It's so fascinating because it feels like there's a bunch of stuff far away enough that I'm like intrigued. I want to go check it out, but it's not so far that it's like, oh God, I can't get there. You just look around and there's all these POIs, points of interest, just like within reach, and you're like kind of invited and drawn out into the world to check all this out.
Yeah. They're saying something about that too in the subtitles. Like he's saying,
Oh, are they?
I
Okay.
wanted the team to know what it's like to be in a place where your destination is close and within sight, yet you feel excited about the journey there.
Oh, well, there you go.
That worked for me. That absolutely worked for me. It worked like a charm on me, dude. Because look, you've got like this little like cave thing here in the town. You've got whatever's going on here with the stair-stepping cliffs. You've got the houses themselves. Some look collapsed, or
I know.
you've got the tower
Well,
over
they're
here.
just peasants, Jeff. They're doing what they can. I know. Like, there's so much verticality and so many like interesting little spots you just want to go and check out. Oh, what's the view like from here? Is there anything hidden here? What am I gonna find? You know?
Makes me want to unlock the double jump very early on. So you just boing, boing, boing,
Yeah, I
boing.
think that's a smart idea.
見えてるんやけど行くまでの道のりがワクワクがある地形
Oh,
って
that's
どんなんや
gorgeous.
ねんみたいなの
Yeah.
を
Just all this
主に
stuff. I just want to check it out. What the
What
fuck?
the fuck? What? Wait.
What am I looking at?
主に
Was this astral projection?
癒す式
Dude.
絵画
Is this the Trickster? We may have to. The Trickster Vocation trailer is supposed to come out, but like There's another IGN trickster deep dive that we may just need to get to. I don't know if we can wait anymore. I'm too curious about the trickster, especially if this is like, yeah, look, he's got the little thing.
Oh yeah, he's got the little incense thing, ball, whatever.
主に地形作ったりとか企画するメンバー
That's
に
that's
把握してもらうた
nuts.
めに
That's
That was
just nuts.
fantastic.
What the
主に
hell?
登山とリアス式
It does look really good.
I wonder what you can do with that. I'm kind of curious.
Okay.
Is it just for scouting, or I don't know.
I don't know. Okay, so he said we went to all kinds of places so that the planning team could. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, okay. I'm going to back up just a second here so we get the full. I wanted the team to know what it's like to be in a place where your destination is close within sight, yet you feel excited about the journey there. We went to all kinds of places so that the planning team could understand that. Like little field trips. This mostly involved climbing mountains, and also I liked Ria Coast.
He's torturing these poor developers.
Oh, interesting.
に把握してもらうためにいろんなとこ行
Do you remember Miyamoto said that like he made the Zelda games based on his real life experiences exploring caves and forests as a kid?
Yeah.
That reminds me of
Yeah,
this.
I love that guy.
主に
He's got the same energy. He's got that same true,
He really
like,
does. Yeah, you're right.
authentic, creative genius energy going. Yeah.
登山とリアス式海岸とのとこの地形がええねんって高低差がはっきりしててブラインドが多いんでそういう
They have clear elevation changes and block sightlines, so I got everyone to
と
visit
ころに
them.
行きましょうってみんなで言ってこってこの感じ
I said, yes, here, like this. Doesn't this get you excited so they understand? He's like pushing them from like one like higher up cliff dropping down to another. He's like, wasn't that exciting? We want that in the game. Do
He
that
just
in the
wanted to
game.
get these lazy programmers out of the office, Jeff. They were looking a little sickly. That's all.
Yeah, he wanted to get them their vitamin D. Their vitamin Dragon's Dogma.
みたいなことをやったりとかまあそれこそ PS3 以降ぐらいのハードからですね
Look at the water, by the
So
way.
nice. Yeah, that's
割と
gorgeous.
リアルに見えるんで
Look at the fire on that goblin's club.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where's that?
Right here.
Hold that back a second. Yeah, let me see.
割とリアルに
Look at that.
Oh, okay.
見えるんで
Interesting.
記号的に
It is really like it's really
It's gorgeous.
shocking, like coming from the first game and then like looking at this. So he was saying, okay, graphics now look quite realistic. So instead of
I'll
using symbols to say you'll die if you fall here, you can make players get a sense for that
じゃな
visually.
くて見た目で落ちたら
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh,
see
you're
what he
about to go.
means. Oh, he's about to
About
fall.
to go over the cliff.
Yeah, I felt that
気持ち
visually,
が
dude. Yeah,
Splat.
you can kind of because you can like render so many more details on any given cliff. Look how much details on these cliffs.
It's gorgeous. Just this random shitty cliffside 99% of people will never see.
Yeah,
It
and
looks
there's like
this.
dandelions and like weeds like going off the edge of it. Yeah, you can kind
Yeah,
of feel
feels like a real place.
if you've ever been hiking and you're like climbing up some rocks or something, you know, like you feel when you're close to the edge and you're like, oh, that's a fall.
表現できる
That's death. No, thank you.
Those kinds of expressions are possible now. That's really cool that that's how they're taking
あれの
advantage
ハ
of
ルカ
the
スの上の
modern technology.
ビルの横をこう通るね怖い体験イベントとかあってそれみんな行ってきて
Okay.
味わってきて何が怖いか味わってきて
I love this guy's fucking energy, man. He's
Yeah.
crazy. like the best way possible.
Yeah.
れる地形見え方って何かっていうのは
Kinds of terrains and views that move people emotionally.
非常に勉強
I guess wasn't that like some of our feedback from Dragon's Dogma 1 was like the world was open, but it wasn't super open. It didn't feel super open all the time. And, you know,
Yeah.
and it was what it was. This looks, it looks like it feels so fun to traverse, you know, the verticality especially.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, it does feel a lot more open than the first one for sure.
Wow. I'm really curious to see how this like plays in comparison to the first one. It's so interesting.
というか体験意識して体験してもらいます。はい
Oh,
Ah, here we
なの
go.
で
Cat
それに関して
people.
はその前作
Beastren, that's right.
The
the Beastren have been depicted ever since the concept art at the start at the very start of planning the first game. Okay, so this is not Khajiits. I rescind my comparisons in the past that these were Khajiits.
Shame on you, sir.
Because Dragon's Dogma 1 was developed in parallel to Skyrim. So
I'm curious if anyone's excited to play these guys. I've never played as I don't know what you would call it, as like the animal type race that I feel like is in a lot of games, but yeah, they look interesting enough.
The furry race, yeah,
yeah, there you go.
Because they're covered in fur. There's no,
ジャードに書いてるんですけど、この原点がウォーザードっていう。
They're based on the half-beast protagonist of an old arcade fighting game called Red Earth. Well, there you have it,
right,
Jesse.
There you go. Not Khajiit.
Not Khajiit.
そこに獣人の主人公がいるんです、ね。
Debunked.
それが頭にあって、ドラゴンズドグマ1の時の本当に開発初期に。そこを含めてイラストにはしてた。
Oh yeah, and this guy was around 10 years ago.
He's got the receipts.
ちょっと毛の表現とかっていうのが難しくて、ちょっと。
Okay.
Oh, okay, so they were too hard to create.
獣人をちょっと制作する上で難しいっていうので、断念はしたんですけど、それが。
The fur on some of these freaks me out, but on others it looks fucking badass.
That guy's got like a Santa Claus fur beard going on there.
Yeah.
今の技術で。
The face tattoos go pretty hard.
The RE engine, interesting.
Oh yeah, the face tattoos go pretty hard on the Beast Run.
Yeah, they're kind of neat. I'm curious.
いろんなことをちょっとできなかったことを実装してもらいながら、今獣人が再現できているんで、ちょっと10年待った開発でもあったかなと思います。
He's so happy he finally got to make them.
That's really cool that it's really nice that we have. Like the technology is serving something like a higher purpose. Like, oh, people had a vision back then and they hit the wall with hit up against the constraints of everything that they could do. And then they've just been waiting for, the opportunity to expand.
To realize their full vision. Yeah.
I like that because so much of like modern game engines and stuff is like, oh, it's like, Sonic's open world and in the Unreal Engine now. And it's like, great. Yeah, it's awesome. It's all HD. I love it. Thanks. No. It's all HD and lovely, We just slap it together in Unreal, man. And it's like a thing now. It's like, awesome. Thank you. It's, how thoughtful of
Please pull my eyeballs from my skull.
今回2つの国があるということで、
Oh, I started coming up with lots of ideas based on the fact that there are two nations in the game. Okay. For example, differences in their religions, or one nation having more Beastren while the other has more humans. Sure.
Okay, interesting.
I then thought about the differences in culture or lifestyle that would create. The land they each live on is different as well, so I thought comprehensively about things like weather.
It's like the humans are living on easy mode.
などを総合的に考えながら、最初にやっぱりディレクターが望むだったりとか、アートディレクターが望むビジュアルに落とし込んでいくということを中心に考えてきました。
So he did his job. He did his job well. That's what that,
well done, sir.
That's what that was. I hope he would think about all those things. We focused on creating a foreign feeling nation inside of what's already foreign feeling nation.
土の色、空の天気、人種の割合。
Yeah, I really do like the palette they've got going on this. Oh my God, who's that creepy looking dude? But just the colors in this game, they're so interesting. They're bold when they need to be, and when they don't, they're just kind of letting you sink into the world.
Yeah. So he's saying we focused on creating a foreign feeling nation inside of what's already a different world, whether that's differently colored land, the weather, the variety of races, or religion and industry. All of it needed to feel foreign. Interesting. I'm going to read this out just since he's kind of stringing a long thought together here. That said, it couldn't bring to mind any specific country. I think we did a good job of riding that fine line. They're really good at that. They're really good at riding that fine line that's like, there's no cheap thrills. There's no like, this looks like Japan and ninjas or like, this looks like this thing. But then they're not being bland or boring about it. They're making the environment like lush, rich, like, scenic. And but then and not copying like Lord of the Rings or something like that.
Yeah.
They're
if
really good at.
If it ain't broke, Jeff, don't fix it. There's a reason everybody loves this fantasy schlock, myself included. All this medieval stuff that's been around forever, that will likely be around forever. It's because it's just so it's so wonderful at what it does, at pulling you into this fucking world where you want to be somebody else and do something incredible. And they're putting just enough of their own little flavor on it.
Yeah.
Their own little twist, these amazing sweeping vistas and so on, to really just make it pop and give it its own energy, its own feel, make you want to explore and discover things in a world you've, in many ways, visited a bunch of times already.
Absolutely.
すごい微妙なラインをうまく作れたかなと思っています。その辺を感じてい
It'd
ただ
make me
け
happy
る
if
と
players feel the same way. Oh, it looks great. Looks so good, dude.
I know. Yeah,
I
just want it, Jeff.
I really,
right now.
Yeah, me too. That's really interesting. I wonder if they pull that off and I play this game and then I go back and I play what's a more blatant offender of a more detached fantasy setting, even like a modern Final Fantasy game, or maybe even Elden Ring or something. Am I going to see did they do such a good job providing extensive detail on this, on these core settings and backdrops of medieval fantasy that we're somewhat familiar with, but they made them so real and also distinct that if I go back and I play a fantasy world, play an RPG in a fantasy world, am I going to be oh, this is they didn't think about the fauna. They didn't think about what grows on the cliffs. How do I know where the cliffs are? And you made it you made this forest, but you didn't think about this thing. I wonder if this is going to ruin fantasy worlds for me. Do I only like foreign looking fantasy worlds, bizarre, impossible to realize fantasy worlds? Because if they did a realistic looking world, it would suck.
I
because I'm I'm looking at this. I keep taking in the setting, and I'm hearing what he's saying and stuff, and it's making a lot of sense. Why it's I'm intrigued by this, even though it's not there's not there's a giant volcano and a thing, or whatever. It's like another state. This could be another state in America, a really cool state.
It's just kind of nice to get back to basics, because it feels like so many games are just oh, we have to have a crazy thing happening, like you're talking about, and this is a little bit more subdued. I mean, we've got crazy stuff all over the place, mind you, but we're just kind of pulling it back a little, a little bit more subtlety. But hey, get lost, have a good time.
It's the concepts for these larger games have been scaling out of control with the technology.
Yeah.
But these guys are scaling up the detail. They're keeping the concept constrained
and it's still
and
fucking
modest.
Gorgeous too. Instead of having the crazy thing, I mean, look at this fucking world. Look how gorgeous it is. Everything, all the detail, just the incredible cliffs everywhere. I just want to get
fantastic. This looks fantastic.
I mean, the world is its own character.
If you,
there doesn't need to be a magical fucking tower every 500 feet or whatever, or this crazy thing that you want to check out. I just want to explore this place. I mean, imagine if this was in your fucking backyard.
Yeah, this is in someone's backyard. I've been to places in Arizona. The Grand Canyon's like this. It looks like this, kind of to a degree.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I mean, so just I like that they're taking modest settings or what we would consider modest concepts, and they're trying to apply modern, the best of game development and design, and also modern technology to these settings. I feel this is a real building block that other developers might build on, man. This might change.
I hope so.
This might change
I would
how
love to see this.
How these games are made moving forward if they pull this off how they're they're saying they want to.
It's very subtle, it's very subdued, but it's also incredible and beautiful, and has that same classical painting feel where everything's sweeping and gorgeous, and you just get these endless beautiful vistas. Yeah, totally.
And all of this is just to the side of the fact that the core gameplay looks like it's going to be
incredible.
It's going to be 10 out of 10 again. Yeah. So So they have I guess that's the advantage of like nailing the gameplay on it's down so much. It's the guy that does Dragon's Dogma and
this
Devil
is
May Cry.
not so much the case. This level of beauty in the world. I feel like in the first one, this is like really ramping it up. I mean, the first one had a nice open world and stuff, and it did have definitely some pretty views. You can see over the coastline and see all this crazy stuff. And Grant Soren's a big fun city, but this is on a whole nother level.
Yeah. So yeah, it's very impressive. I think very subtle themes were talked about here. I like that. Nice little
guy.
Yeah, fuck that guy. I feel like this interview touched on a lot of subtle themes, maybe not so exciting, but I think it's kind of betraying that there's a lot of depth and like it's going to be a really good game. Like it's going to be very cozy.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things that just kind of happens in the background, But it's so important because like this is everything else that you're doing in between killing giant crazy fucking monsters is getting lost in this incredible world.
It could have just been a like it could have just been really good gameplay and then like all this stuff's like left unfilled in. There's tons of games that do that, but it's not like that. We wanted to make every moment of this fucking game absolutely kick ass. Yeah. All right. Well, that's our reaction to this interview. Let us know what you thought of this. Do you is any of this interesting to you? Or are you more interested in the combat, or do you have anything else that you've seen or heard from these guys in other interviews that you find interesting about their approach to development? I like the field trips. The forced field trips is really funny.
Where your boss just straight up tortures you.
Yeah. But anyways, leave a like on the video. Really helps us out. And also subscribe to the channel if you're new here. We love Japanese games, action RPGs, and right now just a lot of Dragon's Dogma. We're live streaming our Let's Play of Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen every Saturday at 3 p.m. EST for just a big, long stream all afternoon and into the night. We'd love to have you join us on those as well. So yeah, thanks for watching. Peace out.
See ya.